Miss Kayla Cooper Gamble. How are you doing tonight, Miss?
I am doing well.
Oh my.
I'm not doing too bad at all.
You're not doing too bad?
Not at all. It's been a good day.
It's been a good day? Awesome sauce. Well, welcome to the channel. Like I said, I always like to start these conversations off by saying it's just a conversation. Just a conversation. And we have some really good topics of conversation outside of, everyday life. So I just wanted to get this on film because you're just a very active listener, if I had to use that phrase. You're very good at listening, and I really appreciate that about you. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that. So
I just want to start with a little bit of where you're from, where you grew up, how was it growing up there? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I grew up in South Carolina, but in a tiny town called Kingstree. Has a very small town population. In the country. I saw, you name it, any sort of agriculture, all that stuff. That's what it's known for people doing for a living. And then I moved to Charleston when I was 6 years old.
Charleston's in North Carolina?
South Carolina.
Okay, South Carolina.
So it's Kingstree is here, and Charleston is here on the coast. So we went from more inland to the coast where the beaches are and stuff like that. So moved to Charleston, lived there pretty much for all my life, pretty much until I went off to school, and then my family transitioned to Nashville when I was in college. So yeah, growing up there was different. I think I loved the way that my family included different cultures and different things of that nature, because South Carolina's very black and white. Okay. And they did a great job making sure that I knew that the world was not black or white. It was so many other ethnicities and people living there.
How did they do that? I know I'm a military child, so I grew up on military bases, and so I kind of saw Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans. It was just ingrained in the culture, so it wasn't just so black and white. But for yourself, growing up in a black and white kind of context, how did you get, how did your parents, I guess, expose you to those other, people groups, or just making you aware that the world isn't just black and white?
Yeah, so we watched a lot of educational videos about different cultures and everything of that nature. And on top of that, we traveled. So we would go on a trip with my aunt every summer that just showed a different state and different things of that nature. And then we saw people of different ethnicities in those different states. So I'll be honest, I probably did not go to school with someone who did not look like me or who was white for a while, actually, honestly. Maybe a little bit in elementary school, but I think high school is when I actually had friends of different ethnicities other than black and white. So yeah, I think they did a great job through travel and just educating us with what they knew, because they traveled a lot, my aunt and uncle, because I lived with my mom and aunt and uncle since my parents are divorced.
Okay.
And yeah, they traveled a lot, sent us pictures of where they were traveling. They've been to Japan, all over the world.
I love Japan.
So I've always wanted to go to Japan. Oh my goodness. They got married, and they did their honeymoon and stuff in Hawaii. So just even seeing different ethnicities there and stuff, I was like, whoa, okay, cool. So they made it very clear that the world was not just black and white.
I love to hear about that. And I think for people that can, obviously, most people, if not everyone, will have the opportunity to travel and stuff. But for those who can, I definitely think they should get to know the world outside of them. I wanted to go back to what you said you grew up for most of your life in schools that were black and white until you got to high school, right? How was it growing up in, I guess, that black and white context, in the sense that you're in the South, and I presume you're around predominantly white people at your schools? Or was it a mixed kind of almost 50-50 black and white? Just how was it, during that time?
It depends on the period. So elementary school, very much so white. I would be like, there would be a couple of like black students. And where I grew up in King Street, I'll be honest with you, I don't remember seeing white people growing up. So even getting to Charleston, it was like a huge, like, I was like, whoa, kind of thing. I think my kindergarten teacher might have been white, but apart from that, I really don't remember like seeing white people until I was like 6 or 7 years old. And then me talking to my mom would be like, Mommy, like there are girls who don't look like me. Like that was just mind blowing to me. So middle school, predominantly black. So from like sixth grade, 6th grade, predominantly black, just because at the school I was at. Then that school shut down. So I ended up going, and I've been to so many schools. 7th grade, it was like way more white people than black students. And then the black students weren't in the honors classes that I was in. They were all in like, it was called like CP back then and everything else. So my friends were all in the quote unquote lower classes. So I was stuck with just being labeled as like an Oreo. I think that's when that term was first used for me. I was like, wait, what? Just because I make good grades?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then high school, like 8th grade to like 12th grade, it was a mixture. Or I hung out with a lot of the black students. I won't say a mixture because it was predominantly white. But I hung out with black students, like other minority students as well. So that's like a breakdown because I didn't stay at one school. Went to like 4 different ones I think I just described to you. Okay. So, yeah.